This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Here are 8 stories that we're following today. First, the markets surged yesterday. Just a great day in the markets as people saw hopes of rate cuts. And we'll talk about this in a second in our point two, how some of that's going back today. The NASDAQ tipped 1.18%. The S&P surged 1.02%. Second, today, good news and bad news. Good news is inflation is slowing. That's good news. The bad news is the markets are taking that as a sign that we might be getting closer to recession versus just lower interest rates. That's bad news. And so you've got this really mixed thing in the market today. The NASDAQ's giving up back all of its gains from yesterday, and we'll see how this goes, and we'll keep on watching. Third, another story that really is yesterday's story, the Fed watching unemployment and getting closer to rate cuts. But the big story today is inflation slowing, but people having bigger concerns about recessions than lowering interest rates, so the market's reacting negatively to that so far. Fourth story today that we're following is just a quick, brief thing we'll do on Doug McMillon, the CEO of Walmart and Walmart. We'll just go through a few points here. There's a separate podcast on this, but I'll just walk through a few points on the remarkable story of Doug McMillon and Walmart. Doug started at Walmart literally in 1984 as a store associate when he was in high school. He became the CEO in 2014. Walmart now, most people follow this, know this, is the largest company in the U.S. by revenues with $640 billion in revenues a year. Its stock is up 34% year to date. Doug has done a tremendous job. Walmart has about 10,500 stores. We'll have a fuller podcast on this later, but just a couple of quick stats about Walmart. $640 billion. Doug McMillon started there in high school, and they built their e-commerce business into a $100 billion business. Smaller than Amazon in e-commerce, but incredible what they've done. Almost no one else has been able to do this from a bricks and mortar standpoint to then become just a dominant and say a very dominant retailer in total. Fifth story we're watching today, and we had a separate podcast on this, is Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid Motors. The numbers really tell the story. Tesla selling about 1,800,000 vehicles a year. Rivian selling 50 to 60,000 vehicles a year. Lucid Motors selling about 10,000 vehicles a year. You can't really build a car company like that. It's got the deep pockets of the Saudis behind it. So maybe it survives for a long time and they turn something into it on it there. But, Rivian was really falling off the cliff until VW made a recent investment in it. Amazon remains the largest shareholder in Rivian. A lot of people I don't think realize that. I knew that Amazon was a big holder because when Amazon took a big write-off a few years ago, I felt that because I'm an Amazon holder. But it is what it is. That's the story. Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid. Tesla, the clear winner thus far, and Lucid doesn't really have the scale yet, but the Saudis might help save them. And Rivian was falling off the cliff, but it essentially saved by the bus, saved by VW. The sixth story today: healthcare deal areas, provider bolt-on transactions. Cautious to slow. Medical device industry transactions pretty healthy. Digital health and IT medium busy. In fact, PE Hub says that's going to grow a lot. Fourth, biotech and pharma has rebounded greatly and relatively busy. And then finally, fifth, I'm told that revenue cycle deals are pretty busy. Brian Greenberg reports on that. I see it some because I serve on the board of a revenue cycle company. So fascinating to watch what's going on in the deal activity in the revenue cycle world. Seventh story we're following today. Great to visit with Peter Becker, the leader of Loma Linda University. Just a fantastic leader. Great to visit with him yesterday. And always great to visit with Jacob Emerson on the Becker's Healthcare podcast. Also fantastic. And finally, the A story following today, that between Becker's Healthcare and the Becker Private Equity Business Podcast, we're now close to 20 million downloads. We're also thankful to our listeners, to everybody else that listens to the Becker's Healthcare Podcast and the Becker Private Equity Podcast. Thank you so much. I am always looking for ideas for stories and features. Please feel free, 773-766-5322. Thank you so much for listening to the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Thank you.